During my career, I was very fortunate to play with a lot of wonderful players from the 60s, Hall of Famers, Johnny Bauer, Bobby Bond. You can just keep going down the list. And they sort of showed me the way because they gave back to the community as when they were professionals. And so I started to realize that this is something that I should be doing once I got myself established as a player in this city. But I think most of our charity work happens after we retire, when you have more time to actually to give to the various works and needs across our city and our province, and sometimes across Canada from coast to coast.
Feel as a player, going to visit ill children and seeing their faces light up?
Well, those were always very special days. The visit to Sick Kids Hospital, which is happening today with Matt Sundin and the players, but it also occurred when I was playing with the Leafs, and it was sort of a high and a low type of day to see what these young children have to go through on a daily basis, as well as their parents, of course, and brothers and sisters. But you always left feeling good that maybe you helped a young person smile that day just by giving them an autograph. Or sharing a little story with them. So we always went away saying, boy, it was nice to be part of that today, but you also went away appreciating that your own children may be not going through what these young people are.
After you retired, you got more and more involved with charities.
Yeah. Well, here in Toronto, our Toronto Maple Leaf alumni gets very active, and the alumni itself helps as many charities as it possibly can. But each individual player also, because we live in the area, we try to help where we can. And there's always those fundraising golf tournaments, fundraising hockey tournaments with executives that are taking place in our city throughout the year. And so a number of us do when time allows. Some of the fellows work full-time, I work full-time, so you got to be very careful, but we try to help wherever we possibly can. And I think over the years we've been very fortunate to help a lot of great charities in the city raise funds, and just by being there supporting it.
Well, being in the public sphere, you get requests from a lot of different charities, more than you could possibly
That's correct.
hope. So how do you choose which ones get yours?
Well, I think all of us as players, we have our own favorite charities. Sick Kids Hospital is one that I support. I was a patient at Sick Kids when I was a boy, so it's dear to my heart. So all of us have those one or two charities that are very special, probably because of our own experiences or maybe our own family experiences. But then again, as I said, when you have the time, then you want to also be involved in the other very worthwhile charities in this city, like Big Brothers, Big Sisters. You can go down the list. But you have to be selective. Unfortunately, we can't do them all. But fortunately, again, the unfortunate thing here in Toronto is we have a very active alumni. Probably out of the 240 players that are part of our alumni, probably 200 of those players live within an hour or so of Toronto. So we maybe share the burden a little bit, if you want to call it a burden. I don't believe it is.
So, I mean, athletes make a lot of money, and they give back a lot of money. Do they have to be encouraged to do that, or is that something they just...
I mean, well, the athletes today make a lot of money, right? But I don't think they have to be encouraged. It was sort of an unwritten clause in my contract, Ron. We expect you to, particularly when I was a player, we expect you to go out and help out with the local hockey banquets. And it wasn't put in our contracts, but it was an unwritten clause, and you just followed the lead of the other guys on the team, the veterans who were doing this. So that's where I got my schooling from. That wow, this is something I should be doing. And then you get out there and you start to enjoy it. You start to say, hey, it's nice to contribute to these causes, and see at the end of the night when they announce we've raised $100,000 for Sick Kids Hospital tonight, or Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Ronald McDonald House. I mean, we're aware of the many wonderful charities that are here in Toronto. That's a pretty good feeling when you drive home that you've been part of something very special. Ron, and I mentioned to you I've got to a point now where I have my own foundation. And I did that for a number of reasons. One, just a passion. But by running my own events, and I know that my sponsors and my volunteers make those events happen, I know I'm able to raise funds, and through my advisory board, we can make a decision on where the funds should go. And kids' charities are one of our main components.
And I think one of the great things about this organization, it doesn't just tell you that you have to give money. It tells you that there are so many different ways that you can
That's right.
help, by like raising awareness, going and talking to people.
Yes, just getting more volunteers on board is one way. Just sharing the passion of the charity is another way. I mean, the Heart and Stroke Foundation, I mean, we can go, the list is a mile long of great causes in our city, and we need to make sure there's an awareness that there are some charities that don't get the publicity maybe that others do, but still really need help. A good example, I'll just use an example. I'm a patron of a charity called Ability Online, and doesn't get a lot of exposure, a lot of promotion, but extremely important charity. Basically what it does, it provides a computer to a child who is ill and cannot interact with other children. They have to be basically confined to their home, but through the computer and the internet, they get these children to interact with each other, and it makes them feel very, very special when they can talk to a friend and share experiences. And but there's an example of a charity that needs help, doesn't have the high profile, so that's one of the reasons I got on board as a patron, to help them raise the funds that they've required.
This documentary is aimed at everybody, but specifically at children who are going to carry the message forward. What would you say to encourage children to become more involved in charities?
Well, I think I have found in my life, I've been very fortunate from the world perspective to play on a Stanley Cup team, to represent Canada in the Great Summit Series in '72, and just to become a Toronto Maple Leaf and professional hockey player. I've enjoyed some very big highs in my life, and I'm very, very thankful for that. But I think some of my most enjoyable times, though, is when I've had an opportunity to give back, and I think that makes us complete as people. Sure, we want to be successful in our careers, but I think we become true citizens, complete people, if you like, when we can maybe use our successes, use our influence to help others, and I think that's so important, to give back. And when it's all said and done, at the end of the day, that's probably the most important thing we can ever accomplish.